man, the fuck you mean you ain't heard no fucking...
Oh yeah, hey.
First I said some Henny, drowning Henny like a medicine. I pull up on your girl, she shoot me way, she got some attitude. Yeah, I'ma fuck around with lunch or maybe make a hit or two. Distribution and some wealth, my money is the hell is cute.
Alex Jones would have an old friend on the show, William Cooper, who is most famous for starting the conspiracy that AIDS was created by the government to lower the gay, black, and Hispanic population. He would come on the Alex Jones Show January 3rd to talk about a mysterious black helicopter he caught flying over his house just a few days prior.
So I gotta go, buddy, but call me back later.
All right, brother, sure will.
Please do it. What's going on, Mr. Cooper?
Hello.
Yeah, that's one of my friends just called in. He's got an Apache over his house with camera pods and infrared taking film. We're going to play that on our TV show. This is just wonderful. We get followed around by unmarked police cars, openly taking 35mm photographs of us. That's just wonderful, isn't it?
Well, it's just one other manifestation of the Nazi Gestapo police state, which has taken over this country.
Again, I mean, I get on this program 6 days a week, and I know how you feel when I talk to you this week. And I'm 24 years old. I'm ready to just say, screw it. Because you got these people cramming cheeseburgers in their mouths, and they love it. I mean, doesn't it ever anger you?
Well, of course it does. What angers me most is the stupidity of the vast herd of American sheeple out there that think they know something, and they don't even know what planet they're on, to tell you the truth.
No, they don't. Simple things like private banks print the money and enslave everyone. Simple things like Clinton's a transnational agent. Well, your book, Behold a Pale Horse, is well known to almost everybody that has any know-how on any of these subjects. You wrote that in 1988, didn't you, sir?
Well, actually, I wrote it over a period of years, back beginning in the early 80s and continuing up into about 88. I finished it, I believe, in 89, and I may have added a couple of things in 90, and then it was published in December of 1990.
December of 1990.
Mm-hmm.
How many copies are out? Quite a few?
I have no idea. It's been the #1 underground bestseller of all time with no advertising whatsoever, and people sell it on the street corners in New York City. Barnes & Noble had to take it off the shelf in their New York City.
On January 16th, or Model UN Day, which is a day in Austin, Texas, in which kids from different schools come and role-play as the UN. A great learning experience for the kids in diplomacy, but something more sinister to Alex Jones.
We're here at the Model United Nations Day, January 16th, 1998. We went in and discussed with a lot of people, a lot of issues, and saw the youth being educated, being trained in the ways of world governance and the growth of the world government control apparatus. Many of these people don't understand who controls the United Nations, and you're fixing to see that from the interviews that we conducted. And that's the scary part. There's so many good people engaged in this at the lower level, and that creates the group psychology, the peer pressure, that it is a good organization. I think we've conducted a balanced report, and the excerpts from interviews with children, teachers, and administrators, and the local United Nations recruiting organization for adults, professors, and children was here also. This is where our country is. This is where it's moving. And the scariest point of this entire discussion that we had today and this report is that we are severely lacking in teaching our youth about the Constitution of the United States and about the government of the United States. But there's plenty of money and there's plenty of help from the establishment to teach them about the United Nations. And that doesn't surprise me a bit, because we know that there is a move towards global government, abolition of private property, the destruction of national sovereignty in the name of the group collective. And what did David Rockefeller say about the public schools? What did he say about government training centers, or what he called the public schools? He called it helpless people yielding themselves to our molding hands. And these lovely, intelligent...
On April 19th, Alex Jones would take the trip from Austin to Waco and to the new land of the Branch Davidian Church. They called their new land Mount Carmel, named after the mountain range in Israel. Here, Alex Jones would document the beginnings of the building of the new Branch Davidian Church, a project which he has helped in the logistics every step of the way.
The murder of children. We were just reading the Aust-American Statesman. It never talks about the children. It talks about David Koresh being some sort of cult leader. Of course, the media doesn't want to discuss Waco Rules of Engagement. And I was surprised that it was nominated for an Academy Award, but of course it didn't win. We're coming out here to help keep the memory alive of the butchery, the murder. Because Bill Clinton was insecure and wanted to flex his muscles, and the BATF wanted more funding. They wanted to raise the American people's consciousness about cults and out-of-control organizations of this nature. So they surrounded the place, opened fire with helicopters, and then 51 days later set it on fire, sent hit teams inside, and murdered the people. Those that tried to escape were machine gunned from outside. Only a couple of them were lost.
How you doing, man? A lot of people from Austin. You can live it? Get something going?
I've been here before, so maybe, I don't know.
I think you're sweet, pretty close. I think our bus is waiting on us.
She says if David was an excellent
The rules of engagement. I said, should Reno be indicted? And he goes, no. Okay. No. I said, yeah, well, I said, should Reno be indicted? And that provocateur agent was out here, and all the media was around him, sucking up his lies, just walked around the rubble going, blah, blah, blah.
They all committed suicide. We got it, everybody. I don't know, I think he's going to look like
And that's where he believed that God took him and showed him the book of Revelations and showed him that he was the Lamb of God and he was the one who was supposed to teach. She didn't seem to know too much about it when I asked her. She said I'd be better off asking Claude Doyle about that. But
Put it in.
Well, not now.
But she basically just told me about his childhood.
Oh, God, it was terrible. Wait till you see it. What do you
Understand me?
I think I've assessed you.
Yeah, oh, you've assessed me. Listen, you can sit there and say some kind of little joke. All your textbook garbage, my friend. I got people like General Parton, ex-head of Air Force Weapons Development. We know the federal government destroyed Oklahoma. It's proven. We know what you guys are engaged in, just like Hitler burnt the Reichstag. We know you brought Nazis over here through the rat line to set up our CIA after the OSS. So you can't sit here. You can assess me all day. I want you to assess me. I've assessed you. A smiley-faced slime ball that sits here in soft pedals and tries to placate the media. Waco Rules of Engagement shows your agents machine gunning men, women, and children as they tried to exit. One of the inventors of flared technology worth hundreds of millions of dollars is on that documentary. He is of the establishment.
If you would review the documentary, you'd find that I'm in the film as well.
Yeah. Well, yes, I just saw you over here. I watched the first time it came out.
You obviously haven't reviewed it.
You are backpedaling.
You obviously haven't reviewed it because in the film I clearly state that the majority of the people that died here are homicide victims.
Yes.
Yeah, by who, though?
Review your own film.
Yeah, but you're saying that they had 500,000 rounds of ammunition.
On top of them. On top of them.
Yes. They didn't have 500,000 rounds of ammunition. I just talked to Clive Doyle.
Oh, okay. And Clive is the expert on the total number of pieces of ammo.
Yes.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Well, Clive's the
On April 28th, the leaked information claiming that the mythical Delta Force wanted to use San Antonio, Texas as a live training ground. This information got into Alex Jones's hands. While this was somewhat true, the information was horribly telephoned by the time it got to Alex Jones on June 1st. He would interview a police officer, a police chief, about this very conspiracy theory.
Did you first become aware that Delta Force, the most elite training force in America, is what the Pentagon says, wanted to train with actual live fire or blanks here in San Antonio? Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. That actually started probably, I want to say, back in February when they first approached us, maybe even earlier than that, about doing some operations, in the San Antonio area.
What were your major reservations in asking the mayor to tell them that y'all didn't want them to train here and to cease training here?
Well, a lot of things happened. First of all, the organization came into the city and never really approached the city as a whole. We've gotten together with the mayor and said we need to speak to all these different departments and request some assistance. Various groups and individuals came into the city and approached different people at different levels. The police department was contacted, the city manager's office was contacted about using city facilities, various business owners were contacted through the economic development department, the fire department was contacted by different individuals, and so there was never any coordinated approach to the city of San Antonio. When we found out of that, we had some reservations, but we were willing at least to listen. But then we started finding out that discussions were happening at other different levels, and there was no communication, no coordination between that. We also found out that leases had been negotiated with private business people throughout the city to utilize their vacant buildings without any coordination with the police department, because we were...
Later in June, Mike Hansen would convince Alex Jones that the new poles being built by Rhodes were made to spy on people. He would speak to the public relations manager at the Bureau of Traffic Control, John Hunt.
Transportation. And we're fixing to go over there and talk to Mr. Hurt, their head person in public relations. We suspect that is a camera pod. I've been telling everybody that those are what they plan to put cameras on, because in other cities I've seen poles just like that with a question mark wire, a lightning rod with cameras. We're fixing to go over and find out right now. Sir, what's your position, Mr. Hurt, here at the Department of Transportation?
I'm the Public Affairs Officer.
Alex Jones, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We're doing a story about Big Brother. And we know that in San Antonio and Dallas and Houston, they're putting up quite a few cameras. Can you tell us exactly what the name of these systems are and where they're integrated, where the video monitors are, and exactly what it's for?
Well, they go by different names. San Antonio calls theirs TransGuide, and Houston calls theirs TransStar, and each city has a different name for their own particular setup. What it is, it's called an Intelligent Transportation System, or ITS, and it uses a...
Smart highways?
Smart highways, yeah. It uses an array of changeable message signboards along with closed-circuit television cameras, sensors that are built into the road, all of which are monitored at a remote location to give traffic management people a clear picture of what's going on in the city as a whole at any given moment.
So it's actually better than helicopters, because you can just punch a button and see any area you wish.
Right. They actually monitor this at a traffic management center that looks very much like Mission Control at NASA, where they've got banks of people sitting behind computer terminals, but they also have a large display in the front of the room that's like a schematic map of the city.
Mr. Hurt, do you know how many cameras Houston or San Antonio has?
No, not just right offhand. On the selected roadways, they're about every eighth of a mile. There are quite a few of them.
Hundreds.
Yeah, I think San Antonio right now has about probably 200 some odd miles that are under camera.
So every eighth of a mile, we're talking about thousands of cameras.
Well, I'm not sure in the entire system if they're every eighth of a mile, but in the locations where they're particularly congested, where you have problems. Yeah, that's exactly right. And when we start out here, we'll have some online, at least a couple by August of this year, down around the upper-lower level split, and we'll just monitor them here at our district office. What we ultimately hope to do is build a traffic management center in a couple of years where we'll...
It was nearing election month, and George W. Bush was running for re-election as governor of Texas, and Alex Jones was absolutely furious. Alex Jones claimed his father was a CIA drug smuggler and was corrupt as Satan. On August 31st, Alex would interrupt a Bush rally.
Our Texans and our United States senators understand that. I want to say something about Mike Crucy. Mike Crucy is the state representative from Williamson County. He is an accomplished person. Today, there were something like 80-something charters announced, additional charter schools announced for Texas. Mike Crucy and I believe in charters and choice. Mike Crucy understands that the more opportunity we give people at the local level to make a choice in public schools, the better. And come November 3rd, with your help, we all intend to win. And it's going to be good politically. For those of you who have toiled in the Republican vineyards for years, you're going to be able to say this was a landmark year. But the victory will be more than just politics as far as I'm concerned. The victory will be an endorsement of a philosophy. I believe in my heart of hearts the victory in 1998 is going to be good for Texas, and that's the most important thing about the campaign.
Shouldn't we abolish the Federal Reserve and the CFR? That's the real reality that none of you will talk about, and most of you are members. That's what's destroying this country, Governor. Don't you stand for America, sir? What about the Federal Reserve and the CFR? You people are being lied to. This country's been taken over by Europe, and I'm being drug out. Laugh at it.
Let's go. Excuse me. It's funny, isn't it?
Let's grab an arm.
Grab him, Bill.
I want y'all to know my family isn't in this world now. Class B. Fine, go ahead, speak to that.
Public assembly? Okay. Where's the car? I got some cuffs. Let's take him right here, up against this glass. Let's trap him on the glass. Okay. Take that out of his hand.
How far do you want me back? I'll go as far as you want me to.
Get the guy from DuPont out here for me.
I'll go as far as you want me to. Turn it off. Turn it off. I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm going to go ahead and go. Turn it off. I hadn't done it. I got it on. Go now, you will. Okay.
Alex would not receive any charges for this transgression, but would receive a permanent ban from the recreational center in which the rally was held. Alex Jones in late October would host another UN flag-burning rally that he did with the Tea Party. This would become a yearly tradition for him and Jeff. In November, Alex Jones would get another invite to Mount Carmel. He would soon travel once more. But Alex Jones had something in his pocket, an ace up his sleeve. In 1997, Alex Jones started work on this effort, a magnum opus, and in December 1998, he would finish his first movie.
See me doing numbers now, getting rich. I'm a baby boy, need a cute shit, laced it. Don't tempt me with the broomstick. I'm a nut quick, then a dick quick. Pin my goatee with a diamond cause a toothpick. I'm a rich one, finesse it with the coupon. Move it to the food town, why she tryna taste it? Do shit, Andrew made the beat hit. Baby on his money shit, I'm not a button politics. Go get her, man I love cheddar. Also love feta, but the bread a little better. I'm a flash off, Balenciaga TikTok. Watch your drip drop with my fucking wrist walk. Big cheese, you crumble like some butter. Two bitches, might just call it double header. I'm a